Once the raw force behind a streetcar named Desire, Marlon Brando aged into a reclusive critic of fame. His chiseled jaw gave way to a heavier presence, yet his voice for social justice deepened. Even in passing at 80, he reminds us masculinity matures best when defiance feeds conscience. Like a stormy stage curtain, Richard Burton's legacy shifted from brooding Shakespearean icon to a man unafraid of scars. His once sculpted profile softened by excess, yet his thunderous delivery still echoes through modern drama's veins, redefining passion beyond youthful bravado. Remember his commanding grace in the Heat of the Night? Sidney Poitier, who passed at 94, became an ambassador for quiet dignity. His slender, poised frame gave way to elder statesman's warmth, reminding the world that courage, not bravado, reshapes the face of masculine power. From Here to Eternity made Burt Lancaster a bronze idol of grit. Later years softened that swimmer's physique into a grandfather's ease. Gone at 80, he left behind more than a rebel's grin, proving a man's worth outlasts the tough guy mold when strength surrenders to reflection. Once the silent gunslinger who made squints iconic, now 95, Clint Eastwood crafts spare, contemplative films from behind the lens, less idolized, but no less impactful. From chiseled jaw to weathered sage, he's redefined masculinity through grit, restraint, and an unwavering eye for justice. Like a cathedral bell, Max von Sydow's legacy rang solemn and true, deep, enduring, and timeless. From stern Nordic mystique in The Seventh Seal to wise elder in Star Wars, he aged into cinematic gravitas. When he passed at 90, his voice still echoed with questions that outlived the Cold War. Remember his quiet fire as Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird? Even into his late 80s, Gregory Peck lent that same moral steel to causes off-screen. From square-jawed icon to silver-tongued speaker, he championed conscience over charisma, long after the spotlights dimmed. The Duke once embodied rugged frontier masculinity. By his 70s, John Wayne faced cancer head-on, trading swagger for stoic vulnerability. From saddle-sure hero to a symbol of shifting American myths, his weathered frame became a canvas on which the country questioned its own bravado. Once the suave gun-barrel icon of James Bond, Sean Connery's life curved from tuxedoed spy to island recluse, his sharp jaw mellowed to a bearded elder's grin. Gone at 90, he reminds us true masculinity ages out of cool bravado and into quiet distance from a world once shaken, never stirred. Like an old race car rebuilt for purpose, Paul Newman's spark shifted from cool-hand Luke Rebel to philanthropic giant. His piercing gaze softened under wrinkles that spoke of endurance. At 83, his legacy roars on, showing manhood's real drive is found in giving more than in winning. Remember his frantic charm in The Apartment? Jack Lemmon's boyish grin weathered into a warm mentor's face. His slender frame eased into elder years before passing at 76. Through every laugh and tear, he proved a man can age past slapstick and still redefine wit with humble grace. Before we continue these amazing celebrity transformations, here's a quick challenge for you. Can you subscribe to ThenVsNow Legends in the next 5 seconds? Smash that subscribe button and join us on this journey through time with your favorite stars. The Odd Couple's grumpy grin once cracked up America. Walter Matthau's crooked smile faded into grandfatherly warmth before he left us at 79. From slouched sarcasm to sage elder, his rumpled charisma reminds us masculinity ripens best when we outgrow the need to always play it cool. Like volcanic stone, Anthony Quinn's screen presence cooled into permanence, bold, textured, and unyielding. From Zorba the Greek's lust for life to elder statesman roles in later years, he aged into cultural defiance. Even at 86, he held fire in his voice and earth in his gaze. Remember his icy stare and point blank? Lee Marvin cut through 60s cynicism like a blade. But by his 60s, he found refuge in fishing boats and quiet deserts. From steely jaw to sun-leathered calm, he left behind the tough guy mold to live on his own terms. Less brutal, more human. Once the flirtatious force of Bonnie and Clyde, now 88, Warren Beatty turns his sharp eye toward legacy, not limelight. From matinee idol to meticulous filmmaker, his full head of silver matches the calculated pace of his vision. Less chase, more chess in how he shapes stories. As Tom Jones, he once brought body charm to British cinema. By his 80s, Albert Finney shunned celebrity, choosing stillness over sparkle. From tousled rebel to soft-spoken recluse, he showed us that dignity matures in silence, and that greatness doesn't always seek applause. Once the cunning took in the good, the bad, and the ugly, Eli Wallach grew from desert rogue to beloved elder. His wiry frame gave way to a gentle stoop, but his mischievous spark never dimmed. Passing at 98, he showed grit ripens into wisdom, proving a villain's sneer can age into grace. Like a sharpened blade dulled by time, Lee Van Cleef's gaze carved out the West End for a few dollars more. His hawk-like features softened just before his ride ended at 64. Even gone, he reminds us stoic masculinity isn't just grit and gun smoke, but the legend left when the dust settles. Remember the crisp wit of my fair lady? Rex Harrison's polished charm eased into twilight warmth. His aristocratic features mellowed into soft lines before his final bow at 82. He showed that a cultured tongue and sly grin can mature into legacy, proving wit outlives fleeting applause. Once the king of cool and bullet, Steve McQueen's lean defiance surrendered to raw reflection as illness stole his edge, gone too soon at 50. From chiseled rebel to weathered seeker, he left a mark that whispers masculinity's truest gear shift happens when the thrill meets mortality. Like a sun-faded photograph, Robert Redford's youthful glow gave way to something richer, an environmental force and cinematic conscience. From Butch Cassidy charm to weathered elder at 88, his legacy isn't just in close-ups, but in founding Sundance and nurturing bold, honest stories. Once the smooth charisma behind Lando Calrissian, now 88, Billy D. Williams radiates quiet dignity, attending conventions with grace and gratitude. From clean-shaven icon to cane-carrying elder, he reminds us that style evolves, but presence, when real, never fades or conforms. Remember his volcanic fury in Scarface? Now at 85, Al Pacino lends his gravelly voice to theater and quiet indie films. From sharp-cheeked menace to a bearded, reflective artist, he's traded the spotlight's blaze for slow-burning roles, proving power doesn't always roar. Taxi Driver once turned Robert De Niro into a mirror of American discontent. Now 81, he balances acting with fatherhood and political candor. From taut, brooding menace to expressive elder statesman, his face now tells deeper stories, etched with time, but never out of fuel. Once the awkward spark behind The Graduate, Dustin Hoffman at 87 has shifted from fresh-faced outsider to grandfatherly force, his sharp features now framed by silver strands and softer lines. He reminds us that masculinity's true grit grows clearer when youth's anxiety yields to grace. Like an old lighthouse, Gene Hackman's presence still guides film's moral storms. Once the steely core of The French Connection, now 95, his stern jaw softened into a quiet retiree's smile. His legacy beams on, proving masculinity can age into stillness without losing its stubborn light. Remember the wicked grin in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest? Jack Nicholson, now 88, swapped chaos for retreat. His devilish eyebrows mellowed above softer cheeks. He reminds us a man's edge can dull with age yet cut deeper into culture, proving mischief matures when fame takes pause. Once the cool crook in The Italian Job, Michael Caine at 92 embraces calm wisdom. His once tight features gave way to gentle folds and a knowing smile. His voice still carries London's grit, proving masculinity endures best when a sharp wit softens into stories worth telling again. Once the stone-faced enforcer in Death Wish, Charles Bronson, who passed at 81, quietly left behind the vengeance mythos for a secluded life in Vermont. From granite jaw to reclusive elder, he chose silence over spectacle, reminding us that strength doesn't always seek a stage. Like a well-aged tuxedo, Roger Moore's charm never frayed, only softened. From the winking elegance of James Bond to global humanitarian work, he aged into something warmer. At 89, he left behind more than suave lines. He redefined gallantry as grace, not conquest. Remember his weary stare in Jaws as he whispered, "You're gonna need a bigger boat?" Off-screen, Roy Scheider turned to painting and poetry before passing at 75. From lean-jawed intensity to soulful creator, he showed that survival isn't just physical, it's spiritual. In Close Encounters, he once gave off face. Now 77, Richard Dreyfuss speaks on civics and emotional literacy, trading Hollywood scripts for real-world dialogue. From sharp-tongued prodigy to white-bearded advocate, his roles now teach, not entertain, and still captivate. Once the disco king in Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta at 71 dances to a quieter beat, his youthful grin softened by a salt-and-pepper beard and a calm gaze. Trading pop idol chaos for family devotion, he proves masculinity ages best when the spotlight dims but compassion grows. Like an old prank that still draws laughs, Chevy Chase's legacy stretches from National Lampoon's Vacation to quiet years at 81, his once boyish smirk now framed by a rounder face and silver hair. He reminds us humor matures when the wise fool steps back to grin at life's big punchline. Remember his wry charm in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? George Segal's Boy Next Door appeal eased into grandfatherly warmth before he passed at 87. His trim frame softened, but his sly smile endured. He showed that true masculinity lives in wit that ripens as youth slips away. Once the swaggering bandit of Smokey and the Bandit, Burt Reynolds rode fame from mustached rogue to reflective elder. His chiseled jaw gave way to weary eyes before passing at 82. He proved the macho mold cracks well when a man's laughter and flaws outlive the leather and horsepower. Once the silver-haired gunslinger with a grin of steel, James Coburn traded the Magnificent Seven for Eastern philosophy and healing arts. From angular action star to pain-worn yet peaceful elder, he passed at 74, having shown that true cool is resilience, not bravado. Like a shattered mirror, Peter Sellers reflected countless personas with brilliance and fragility. From the absurd genius of the Pink Panther to inner storms he couldn't disguise, he left us at 54, proof that the funniest masks often hide the deepest questions of self. Remember his hypnotic gaze in Dr. Zhivago? By his 80s, Omar Sharif spent quiet days mastering bridge and speaking on cross-cultural unity. From screen idol to dignified elder, his once sculpted face wore memory like linen, soft, lined, and woven with worldliness. As Hawkeye in MASH*, he gave sarcasm a soul. At 88, Donald Sutherland departed this world as a cinematic chameleon, once golden-haired and defiant, later a white-maned oracle. His path proved that legacy grows not from fame, but from fearless, layered storytelling. Once the reckless flyboy in Top Gun, Tom Cruise at 63 still clings to stunts but trades youthful bravado for producer's control, his sharp jaw now framed by laugh lines earned on impossible sets. He shows masculinity can hold on to action yet evolve, proving risk matures when ego boasts. Like an old oak weathered by scandal and success, Michael Douglas at 80 stands firm. Once the slick shark in Wall Street, his lean charm now softened by silver hair and calmer eyes. He proves masculinity can pivot from ruthless to reflective, rooting legacy deeper than any ruthless deal. Remember the chilling poise of the Silence of the Lambs? Anthony Hopkins at 87 still commands from quiet corners, his once intense stare now warmed by grandfatherly softness. He reminds us masculinity transforms best when a predator's edge evolves into patient wisdom and quiet art. Once the whip-cracking daredevil in Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford at 83 traded rugged swagger for skybound solitude. His iconic smirk now softened under windswept silver hair. He shows masculinity finds new ground when adventure turns inward, proving grit outlives the fedora's dust. Once the blue-eyed warrior in Braveheart, now 69, Mel Gibson walks a more complicated path. Less revered, but deeply reflective. From action icon to polarizing filmmaker with a silver beard and weathered eyes, he's a reminder that redemption, like art, is rarely clean. Like a vinyl record flipped to its quieter side, Eddie Murphy's laugh still lingers, just softer. From Beverly Hills Cop swagger to a 64-year-old family man and selective performer, he's no longer chasing punchlines, but curating a legacy of rhythm, wit, and restraint. Remember, I'll Be Back. At 77, Arnold Schwarzenegger is just not how you expect. From steel-framed Terminator to climate advocate and thoughtful memoirist, his body's less chiseled, his mind more sculpted. He now builds futures instead of demolishing enemies. Rocky once made him the face of underdog grit. Now 79, Sylvester Stallone mentors young creators and pens scripts with the same tenacity. From gloved fists to ink-stained hands, his muscular frame has softened, but his drive proves that purpose never retires, it evolves. Once the deadpan prankster in Ghostbusters, Bill Murray at 74 drifts through life like a wandering sage, his youthful smirk now softened by a weathered beard and twinkling eyes. He reminds us masculinity blooms when we drop the punchline mask and let oddball wisdom fill the silence. Like an old jukebox humming nostalgia, Dan Aykroyd at 73 echoes his Blues Brothers mischief with quiet entrepreneurial drive, his once slim frame now padded by comfort and age. He shows masculinity shifts when a jokester grows roots, turning late-night antics into lasting craft. Remember his wild banjo antics in The Jerk? Steve Martin at 79 strums life's quieter notes, his once boyish grin now framed by white hair and soft laugh lines. He proves masculinity finds true form when slapstick chaos matures into calm creativity, plucking wisdom from each string. Once the sleek charmer of American Gigolo, Richard Gere at 75 traded silver screen seduction for spiritual calm, his chiseled features softened by age, framed by gentle gray. He shows masculinity's sharp edge can mellow into mindful presence, proving grace outshines fleeting allure. Once the stoic hero of Dances with Wolves, now 70, Kevin Costner trades red carpets for ranches and western epics of his own making. From sandy-haired star to rugged elder in wide-brimmed hats, he's rewriting masculinity with slower steps and stories rooted in land and legacy. Like a candle that danced before it dimmed, Patrick Swayze burned bright and soulful. From Dirty Dancing's graceful rebel to a 57-year-old fighting illness with quiet strength, his body faded, but the tenderness he brought to tough men reshaped what leading men could be. Remember Die Hard's bloody-footed everyman? Now 70, Bruce Willis steps back from acting, facing aphasia with his family's fierce love. From smirking action star to silent fighter, his square jaw softened, but his courage remains, etched not in words, but in presence. As Louis De Palma, he once made Bad Attitude hilarious. Now 80, Danny DeVito embraces his oddball charm through producing and voice work. From scrappy sitcom tyrant to quirky cultural treasure, his compact frame still carries a colossal knack for making misfits matter. Once the unlikely Caped Crusader in Batman, Michael Keaton at 73 leans into oddball gravitas, his sharp jaw now softened by a salt and pepper scruff and laugh lines. He reminds us masculinity expands when a masked hero steps aside for character work that digs deeper than latex armor. Like a restless wildfire, Sean Penn at 64 still burns with rebel heat. Once the brooding force of Dead Man Walking, his angular glare now shadowed by graying stubble. He proves masculinity's edge stays sharp when a tough guy embraces activism, stoking fire where injustice hides. Remember the sly grin in Ferris Bueller's Day Off? Matthew Broderick at 63 swapped high school hijinks for gentle stage turns, his boyish charm now eased into soft wrinkles and warm eyes. He shows masculinity matures when the class clown ages into a quiet artist shaping tomorrow's laughs. Once the everyman hero in Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks at 69 embodies America's moral compass, his fresh-faced innocence mellowed into a bearded elder's calm. He reminds us masculinity's strongest chord is empathy, proving kind eyes and soft edges can outlast fame's fleeting applause. Once the tousled rebel of Fight Club, now 61, Brad Pitt blends architecture, art, and quiet production work. From sculpted abs to sculpting bronze, he's traded chaos for craft. Less an idol, more an artisan of purpose. His face still draws crowds, but his focus now builds legacies. Like a glacier melting into movement, Leonardo DiCaprio's fame transformed from heartthrob heat to activist force. From Titanic's boyish glare to a 50-year-old climate crusader, he's no longer saving characters. He's trying to save coasts, species, and time itself. Remember the swaggering strangeness of Jack Sparrow? Now 62, Johnny Depp plays music in European cafes and paints vivid portraits. From sharp cheekbones to a lined, expressive canvas, he's turned public tumult into introspective art, still elusive, but more deliberate. The Fresh Prince once redefined cool for a new generation. Now 56, Will Smith mixes soul-searching with storytelling, blending confession and creation. From sharp fade to salt-streaked beard, he's learning out loud, reminding us reinvention doesn't erase roots, it deepens them. Once the rubber-faced dynamo of Ace Ventura, Jim Carrey at 63 turns slapstick chaos into philosophical retreat, his elastic grin now framed by a poet's beard and thoughtful gaze. He reminds us masculinity can stretch past wild antics, settling into stillness where laughter meets depth. Like a vintage watch, George Clooney at 64 keeps ticking with purpose. Once the charming doctor in ER, his clean-cut looks mellowed into salt and pepper elegance. He proves masculinity endures best when a silver fox steps behind the camera, turning smooth talk into global good. Remember the fierce roar in Gladiator? Russell Crowe at 61 swapped battlefield rage for soulful music and quiet films. His chiseled warrior's frame now broader, beard flecked with gray. He shows masculinity's real fight happens when raw power yields to gentler chords and honest floss. Once the genius runaway in Good Will Hunting, Matt Damon at 54 now balances Hollywood clout with fatherhood, his boyish grin shaped by crow's feet and softer edges. He proves masculinity grows when youthful swagger gives way to grounded causes, reminding us grit matures in giving. Once the fresh-faced lead of Good Will Hunting, now 52, Ben Affleck wears the years with candor and control. From marquee idol to thoughtful director with graying stubble and heavier eyes, he's turned public missteps into measured storytelling. Less glory, more grit. Like a thunderclap that keeps rolling, Samuel L. Jackson's voice still shakes screens. From Pulp Fiction's fury to 76-year-old MCU mainstay, his trim frame now carries gravitas more than rage. He's become the rare constant in a shifting culture, louder, wiser, and still unstoppable. Remember his ironclad charisma in Iron Man? Now 60, Robert Downey Jr. leans into clean energy and lo-fi cinema. From angular cheekbones to a weathered charm, he swapped suits of armor for causes with depth. Less flash, more foundation, all still unmistakably him. As the no-nonsense agent in Men in Black, he made deadpan an art form. Now 78, Tommy Lee Jones avoids the spotlight, living simply on Texas soil. From furrowed brow to silver-stubbled recluse, he reminds us that gravity doesn't age. It deepens into quiet defiance. Once the smooth manipulator in The Usual Suspects, Kevin Spacey at 65 receded from the spotlight, his once chiseled features softened by time and reflection. His story warns us that masculinity must be rebuilt on accountability, reminding culture that power demands integrity beyond charm. Like a towering oak, Denzel Washington at 70 stands resolute. Once the intense leader in Training Day, his sharp jaw now framed by silver strands and calm authority. He embodies masculinity's evolution from fiery force to thoughtful mentor, proving strength thrives in humility and grace. Remember the manic joy in Mrs. Doubtfire? Robin Williams passed at 63, his frenetic energy softened into quiet vulnerability. His ever-changing face reminds us masculinity can embrace complexity, teaching that beneath laughter often lies a deeply human, tender resilience. Once the stoic hero of The Matrix, Keanu Reeves at 60 blends rugged resolve with gentle kindness, his youthful intensity softened by a beard and humble demeanor. He shows masculinity in modern times, embraces compassion and resilience, proving true strength lies in quiet dignity. Once the fiery lead of The Mask of Zorro, Antonio Banderas at 64 balances passion with poise. From chiseled swashbuckler to reflective storyteller with softened features, he channels charisma into mentorship, proving that true allure grows with grace and wisdom beyond the sword. Like a labyrinthine novel, John Malkovich's career twists and turns, always surprising. From intense roles in being John Malkovich to 71 years of eclectic art, his face is softened but his gaze remains piercing, a testament to reinvention beyond conventional leading man molds. Remember his ruthless Stansfield in Lyon? Now 67, Gary Oldman channels depth into directing and nuanced performances. From razor-edged intensity to weathered wisdom etched in lines, he crafts characters that challenge norms, shifting from brute force to intricate empathy. Top Gun's Maverick once soared as the face of 80s cool. Passing at 65, Val Kilmer's battle with illness redefined his courage. From sharp jawline to frail frame, his legacy is resilience, not just of body, but of spirit, and a reminder that true valor is quiet and profound. ThenVsNow Legends is feeling a bit lonely. 99% of you haven't subscribed yet. Show us some love and hit that subscribe button so we can keep bringing you the jaw-dropping journeys of your favorite stars. And if you're as fascinated by then and now glow-ups as we are, check out our previous videos. Trust us, they're totally worth your time and ours too.